So it is no secret, 2024 has been off to a rough start for our team. We've been involved in a few crashes, we've had to visit the work area a few times, and we took a pretty good ride at the Arrowhead Speedway. And with all that happening in a short amount of time, it was important that we figure out how to bounce back as quick as possible. So I can't lie, this is one of the toughest parts about our sport when you have bad race after bad race and bad luck, and it feels like you just keep getting punched in the mouth over and over again, and you're literally trying to hold on and continue moving forward. That's what our start to 2024 has kind of been, and so as a team, we all had to get together after racing at the Red Dirt Raceway in Meeker, Oklahoma, and say what's like the next step for us. In talking it all together, and like in that moment, we talked about going home, stay racing with High Limit, go race with the Outlaws, try to find other series, which is hard so early in the year. There's not a lot going on besides the big two guys, High Limit and Outlaws, but anything for us to just go and race and kind of give ourselves an opportunity to breathe, slow down a little bit, go back to some of the basics, work on our car, and build back up so we can race at a high level. And so in this moment when we're all talking, it made sense and it became clear we need to head up north. Knoxville Raceway has a practice day. It's going to be a great opportunity for us to get out there, make some laps at a track I've been to, work on our car. So we made the decision to travel 9 hours from Meeker, Oklahoma up to Knoxville, Iowa so we could practice, and then also in hopes of running their first race of the season. Then as we got up there, some chaos happened and it looked like maybe we weren't going to run at all, and then we were, then we weren't. But anyway, let me just say this ended up being the best decision for our team, and here's kind of how the rest of the day ended up playing out as we got the chance to run some laps. So this is the part of the sport that I do not like. We are sitting here in Knoxville, Iowa. Temperatures are too cold. They canceled tomorrow's show. Tonight's practice is optional, which I don't know. I guess, I'm just so used to, like, man, we're always racing. We race in the cold kind of out at home, and our tracks aren't as big, so I guess I didn't really think anything of it, of, the temperature. Obviously, it's not ideal for fans and whatnot, but so yeah, trying to make a decision if we should practice tonight and if we should go race somewhere tomorrow, which is going to involve about 6-ish hours of driving that way. Kind of like a behind the scenes of things you don't see on a race team. We're sitting here and obviously we want to go race, but we're trying to figure out what's worth it, what's not worth it. We're obviously trying to think of our equipment, getting on a big racetrack like this, and yeah, just a tough ordeal. So guess we'll see what we figure out here in the next couple minutes and try to make a decision on what's best. So after going back and forth a bunch as a team, we decided that since we're already here in Knoxville, we definitely should take advantage of tonight's practice, and we immediately moved the rig into the infield to get all set up. Well, ladies and gentlemen, feels great to be back at the sprint car capital of the world, and it is officially practice night at the Knoxville Raceway. This was supposed to be opening weekend, but unfortunately because of the weather and all the cold temperatures, they canceled the first race, which is tomorrow, but they're still having practice for anyone that wants to run. And if you walk up, here's a look at the racetrack. It's a crazy time of year. You never really know what to think of the weather or what it's gonna do or how Mother Nature wants racing or doesn't want racing. Regardless though, we're here in Knoxville, Iowa, and it's going to be a great opportunity for us to get laps here at Knoxville tonight. There's a lot of tracks throughout the country. Some are easier than others to master, but I would say this place is close to the top as far as, how much you have to run and how often, and it takes years and years to figure out all the little details would be the right word, figuring out all the little details and kind of what it takes to get around this racetrack and go fast on a consistent basis. And for a team like us, that's really important, especially come Knoxville Nationals time, August, biggest sprint car race of the year. If you can perform on that stage, it doesn't get any tougher. So you can see they're kind of rolling in the track now. I'm sure we're going to get engine heat in a little bit, and tonight is just a good chance early in the season for us to really go out there and make some quality laps, build on some confidence, build on some speed, and then take that, here in the future, but also to other places as we really just need to get rolling this season. So immediately it felt super comfortable to get out there around the sprint car capital of the world, a place I've been to before. Unfortunately though, my first session, my cameras kind of just got covered because the track was still greasy and there was a lot of us out there and I kind of got stuck. So therefore my laps weren't super legit, but enough to kind of get a feel for my race car and immediately start making changes so I could go out for my second session where I improved in a huge way.
Drive off more in the grip. I kind of almost like here, if I get into it too soon, then I end up in the slip and then you kind of spin down.
So that second session, I felt like money. The racetrack, it wasn't super difficult. It was just kind of starting to widen out. But what felt good about my race car and what was the biggest green light was I could run the bottom, I could run the top, I could kind of move around. I didn't necessarily have to be in the perfect position each time for my car to feel stuck and to feel like I had grip. I could kind of enter the bottom a little bit differently. I could kind of enter the top a little bit differently, try to, run different lines and not necessarily just do the same thing lap after lap. And my car felt good, and that's really important because there's a word called maneuverable, and that's what you need to be fast around any racetrack, but Knoxville specifically. You got to be able to maneuver and go where guys aren't. So that felt great. To be able to do that in clean air, it's even more difficult to do that in dirty air when you're behind cars. So my car felt great at the start of the day, and then what we did for my final session here is we actually threw a completely different setup in the car, and we wanted to see how it would handle because obviously this is like the best time to try things. And at this point too, the sun had kind of started to go down and it was getting really cold, but the racetrack was still kind of moving and the bottom was getting a little narrower and the top was getting closer to the fence. Well, a fantastic practice night here in Knoxville. We got to run 3 sessions, see the track change 3 times, and most importantly, you know, it's one thing for me to say, hey, I was comfortable in my race car, I felt like I was going fast, but we had the speed on my race pass on our phones, the times, you know, to also back it up. Both session 2 and 3, we were 3rd quick, you know, with some fast guys, you know, all the normal Knoxville locals and guys that kind of pop in and out throughout the season. So felt really happy with my race car, and actually maybe the best part of it all, not that, you know, we showed that we had the speed, but I ran the bottom really well and felt comfortable down there. Now I will say the bottom wasn't super tricky, just because, you know, it had a good amount of grip, and, you know, I mean, it's not super narrow, but still I carried good speed into 1 and 2, good speed into 3 and 4, and was kind of able to find multiple different points. And like I, you know, a couple times, you know, lifted a little soon and was like, man, I got through that really well. And then a couple laps later, I even drove it in harder, carried more speed, and then ripped through it. So I was able to really find a good spot on entry to the corner, and like how hard you could drive it in to really stick the race car. And once you're able to get your car in the right spot around the bottom and then find your key throttle points, it's crazy the difference in how much faster you go. We also bounced between 2 entirely different setups, and both showed good speed. I just think that you would use them in kind of their own unique scenario, which is huge, because on a race team, as we're trying to develop our car, develop our package, you want to have options. If you're always just running the same thing, don't get me wrong, if you get going really fast, maybe you can take that everywhere, but there's situations I feel like where you can kind of get boxed in, and then you have your strengths and your weaknesses. Whereas if you can make your car go fast, you know, with a lot of different ideas, you can kind of transition between those as you travel to a variety of different tracks. But Knoxville, super happy. This was a very valuable night, exactly what I needed. Confidence booster. Man, I'm upset we don't get to race here tomorrow, you know, because we got to go now to some different racetracks, but felt great to be here at Knoxville, sprint car capital of the world. It's just a little cold for us to race.